Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica is monitoring another Saharan dust plume which is building over the African continent. Acting head of the weather branch, Rohan Brown, says the dust plume could cross the Atlantic in another 2 weeks. Saharan dust is not unusual. However, the concentration of dust particles has become thicker.
And again, the climate is changing, and this could become a new reality.
You're saying that in the next few weeks we may be doing this all over again?
There is a plume that is developing. We're not seeing the signs as yet, but we're seeing the early indications that it could become another thick, dense plume coming off the Atlantic, coming off the west coast of Africa into the Atlantic.
Mr. Brown, who was speaking on Power 106 FM's Morning Agenda program, said Jamaica will become hotter and drier in the next 2 days as the thickest parts of the current Saharan dust plume crosses the island. Meanwhile, NEPA says the air quality in Kingston will be unhealthy for sensitive people today and tomorrow. The Kingston Air Quality Index forecast shows that the pollution level will be moderate on Thursday through Saturday. On Sunday, the pollution level will again become unhealthy for sensitive groups. Britain celebrated Windrush Day on Monday in the wake of a scandal about institutional racism in the British society and its deadly outcomes for black people from the Windrush generation. The celebration, which was not widespread until 2018, also had a message from Prince Charles and a warning that failure to act on recommendations could cause the country to repeat mistakes of the past.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women who stepped off the Empire Windrush at Tilbury in June 1948.
This was Monday's video message from Britain's Prince Charles, aimed at showing solidarity with Caribbean people who arrived in that country 72 years ago to help rebuild it after World War II.
Today offers an opportunity to express the debt of gratitude we owe to that first Windrush generation for accepting the invitation to come to Britain and, above all, to recognise the immeasurable difference that they, their children and their grandchildren have made to so many aspects of our public life, to our culture, and to every sector of our economy.
And that has led to social media trolls labelling the British prince a hypocrite. Wenda Williams, who authored a report to the British government on the Windrush scandal, chided the country for not making good on its commitment to learn the lessons, with thousands of Caribbean people still facing threats of deportation or denial of government services under an immigration law which was passed in 2012. Many, especially the children, arrived in Britain with their parents between 1948 and 1971, traveling on their parents' passports and have no documents.
Today, as we honour the legacy of the Windrush generation and the invaluable contribution of black people in Britain, I dearly hope that we can continue to listen to each other's stories and to learn from one another. The diversity of our society is its greatest strength and gives us so much to celebrate.
Now, those in Britain still awaiting action to regularize their status hope Prince Charles is listening to them so that soon they too will have so much to celebrate. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The Vibes Cartel murder case is moving to its final stage as the entertainer and his co-accused are attempting to appeal the matter before the UK Privy Council. Cartel, whose given name is Adidja Palmer, along with Sean Campbell, Kahira Jones and Andre St. John, have sought leave from the Court of Appeal to take the matter further. The proceedings are to begin on Monday. Kimon Witter reports.
In April, all 4 men lost their appeals in the Court of Appeal. The 3-member panel ruled unanimously that the appeals be refused and their convictions be affirmed, but a minor deduction was made in their sentences because of the time they spent in custody prior to sentencing. The men have now all filed applications for leave to appeal to the Privy Council. For these proceedings, there has been a change in representation. Cartel is now represented by Isat Buchanan, Sean Campbell by Bert Samuels, while John Clark is the attorney for Kahira Jones and Andre St. John. Bert Samuels gave Radio Jamaica News an update last night.
In the matter of Adija Palmer and Sean Campbell and the two other appellants, their matter is set for Monday of next week, the 29th of June. The hearing will be a hearing for leave. We're seeking permission to appeal to the Privy Council, so that all matters, the four appellants will be going to the Court of Appeal in Jamaica to seek permission to go to the Privy Council. Yes, the hearing will be virtual. We're not being court. We'll be at our respective offices and we'll be zooming in to the hearing.
Kimon Witter ending that report. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have much more stories when we return. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. Craft vendors in Negril are fuming, claiming they have been forgotten by the government. They say for years no work has been done to improve the space at the market. As Ashane Masters reports, with COVID-19, the cries are getting louder.
Irate vendors speaking with our news team last week as they bemoaned the treatment meted out to them by successive administrations. They say it's like they are the forgotten people of the West.
A market was promised to us at Negril here for several years. If you look at the area, that we're well in need of a craft market. Because throughout Jamaica, I think it's one of the worst craft markets, which successive government, both PJ Pattinson, Portia Simpson, all of the political party promised that they would give us in Negril a craft market. And we have waited for so long and nothing has been done.
At no time at all we ever get any benefit. There are other markets we hear about that they go and they fix this and they do that and they do that to them, but they have never done anything for us here.
They say all they have been getting are empty promises, even now with the onset of the coronavirus. The vendors say they were invited to the Tourism Product Development Company offices on April 14 to sign up for the COVID-19 general grant being offered by the government. Now, 2 months after the initial sign-up, nothing.
We hear nothing from that. Nobody come and say anything to us. And we are in need of some help. We are in need of some help, sir.
Empty promises goes nowhere. We have promises, grant, and there's no grant. So what are we going to do?
Under the General Grant Group D, which includes craft vendors, a one-time grant of $40,000 would be made to them by the government, but with no word, concern from the vendors.
What help are we going to get from the government? Because, you know, everybody have bills to pay. Kids to go back to school. If it's even my grandson have to go back to school. So what help the government have in mind for us?
Efforts to get a comment from TPDCO proved futile. In the meantime, the vendors are also calling on the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, to provide answers on their electricity bills.
Our shop closed for 2 good months.
3 months.
And with almost 3 months. And I realize I'm still getting the same bill. I emailed JPS that our business is closed because there is no tourists here. I even turned off the main switch in my shop and I'm still getting the same bill. And JPS is killing us.
Ashane Masters, TVJ News.
And some small hoteliers in Negril say they will not be ready to reopen their establishments anytime soon. This as COVID-19 and the new protocols for operations are having a negative effect on their finances.
With some of the island's major hotels already opening their facilities for non-nationals, it's not the same for smaller hotels in Negril. They told TVJ News that they had been significantly impacted by the closure of the airports by the government, but now with the required measures, it is more stressful, as there is not much help from government or access to loans. Gail Jackson, the owner of the Negril Treehouse Hotel, told us that the major issue for her establishment is the procurement of hand sanitizers.
The challenge is supplying all the items, because all the items per the government aren't manufactured in Jamaica, such as your sanitizer machines, automatic dispenser machines. They're not readily available in Jamaica. It's just a big cost in trying to get open again.
We need a loan of about 2.5% interest to get us all going.
For Daniel Grizzly, the owner of the Sharella Inn Hotel, Negril is not in any position to reopen soon. But why?
It's not just a question of the hotels being ready. The Negril is a kind of resort where the guest comes to have a Jamaica and Negril experience. And that means going out, walking about in the little bars and restaurants. And so far, I don't see any effort by TPDCO to go and educate and inform those little places of what they should do to prevent the spreading of the virus.
But Mr. Grizzly's comment varies from that of the president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Richard Wallace, who said tourists will be seeking beaches and smaller properties.
Both those categories, Negril is at the top of the list in those things. So we're very excited about it. As a matter of fact, we are very cautiously optimistic that, Negril will rebound in a good way, maybe better than we were before.
Mr. Grizzly says he's unsure when Negril will be ready, but he's looking at an October opening for his business.
I think by that time we will get everything in place. We will have all our staff trained and ready. And that's where we're aiming to have overseas guests. But I can't see we having overseas guests before.
Kimone Witter reporting for TVJ News.
A man is dead and another in custody after a stabbing incident in St. Mary yesterday. Dead is 25-year-old Henry Winter of Highgate, while another man is in police custody. Reports are that about 3 o'clock, Mr. Winter, otherwise known as Glamadon, was on his way to see his brother at a recording studio when he was attacked and stabbed to death.
The man a pass and them see him, them and the man a friend, so them attack him. And him try run and all of them thing, and him get stabbed in him back and him belly. But Glamadon, a good youth, man, I tell you that, never really deserve this. Never, brothers. No matter, nobody not deserve them cold death here. And me not see him do nothing when him deserve it too. My brother, me not really pick up for him. That's a thought, true.
He was rushed to the Highgate Health Center where he died. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.